USC. That is 7 touchdown passes for Cody Kessler.
Behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold.
Kessler, as he drops to throw long, catches up into the 20, down to the 10. He's got a touchdown, USC.
Trojans Live is brought to you by your Southern California BMW centers. Take advantage of limited-time lease and finance offers available now at your Southern California BMW centers. Visit SoCalBMW.com today for details. Now, here are Jordan Moore and John Jackson.
Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by your Southern California BMW centers, broadcasting on TuneIn tonight from the lab on Figueroa, just across the street from campus. We've got a Pac-12 showdown on our hands this Saturday, USC and Utah, and the interim head coach, Clay Helton, plus his center, Toa Lobendot, and the outside linebacker freshman, Porter Gustin, will join the show to talk about it. Plus, USC women's soccer is rolling, so we'll talk to Jamie Fink and Sammy Jo Prudhomme. I'm Jordan Moore alongside John Jackson and JJ. Boy, we had a classic game. Obviously, the Trojans came out on the wrong end of it in South Bend, but what did you think about the Trojans' response after a difficult week?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a point in that game that I thought, it's going to get away from us and it's going to be embarrassing, get embarrassed at Notre Dame, especially after some of the things that haven't happened, the special teams, the block punt, things of that nature. And then when they started to come back, it just gave you what great promise this team had. It brought a lot of pride to me because I can tell you it's tough playing in Notre Dame. I've been on the bad end of getting blown out in Notre Dame, so I can tell you that it can get away real quick. But, just the way that these guys responded, never quit. Remember, it's a young team that's in a very hostile environment. That, to me, there's no moral victories when it comes to USC Notre Dame, but, that was a moral victory.
All right, let's bring in Coach Helton now in his second interim stint as the USC head coach. His segment is brought to you by your Southern California BMW Centers, exclusive partner of the SoCal BMW Crosstown Cup. Now during the BMW Mission Drive, lease a 2015 BMW 320i sedan for as low as $369 a month with zero due at signing. Just sign and drive. Details at SoCalBMW.com. Coach, take us back to a week ago and just your first goal, in your mind, your first task when you took over as head coach and what you needed to address immediately.
Well, really to address the belief in the team that there's going to be an order of consistency, somebody to really watch over them and guide them through the rest of the season, making a great experience, have as much fun as we possibly can, and win football games. And that's what we do around here. And proud of the effort that the kids gave at Notre Dame. I agree with JJ. There are no moral victories. We're here to win football games, and that's what we plan on doing the rest of the season.
Take me back to a week ago, Coach, because when you first got announced as head coach, just the response from the team, what did that mean to you, getting that standing ovation the first time that they announced you as head coach?
Well, I told them that would be something I'd never forget. I'll forget a lot of games and plays and touchdowns, but I'll never forget that because that means you've developed relationships with your players, relationships that'll last a lifetime. And it was something that really hit home to me and something that I'll cherish.
And the tough part about being an interim head coach, of course, is that you have to make the team yours and you don't have any time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You had a week and you have 7 games total, at least left in the regular season when you took over. So, what did you learn from 2 years ago when it was obviously a successful experience that you were a major part of, first as the offensive coordinator and then as the head coach for the bowl game? What did you take from that you're going to take as this team goes forward this season and lessons you learned?
Yeah, well, one thing to make sure the players know that you care for them and you care for their well-being. Second thing, coach them as hard as you possibly can. They know you're an interim coach, but they want to every player wants to be coached and become better. And you do those two things, and it's going to carry over on the football field. Again, I was just extremely proud of the way the kids reacted, especially down in that game. Yeah. Never to see them flinch and say, okay, this thing's over, but to fight back like they've done. It just shows a mark of a team that can deal with adversity. We'll be in that situation again in a hostile atmosphere. And to gain that experience and know that they can overcome a deficit and get back into that game and actually take the lead going into the fourth quarter, that was a valuable experience for us and one that hopefully will help us move forward.
A couple things that have happened differently that you've since taken over. The first thing is you hosted some players that came in, some of the all-time greats. I'm sorry I couldn't make that, by the way. I was invited.
You are one of those all-time greats.
I had to work.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Had to work. But
I thought you were saying you didn't make the cut. The all-time
that's debatable amongst all
I
my
think
friends.
you would have been in good company there, JJ.
No, but of course, some of the all-time great guys that came back. Willie McGinnis, Keyshawn Johnson. those type of things. Take us through a little bit of how that went, from your standpoint in terms of watching it and how the players responded.
Yeah, the one thing that I've seen and I've cherished about USC is Trojan family. It has always been a family-type atmosphere. It's a very unique thing, I believe, in college sports nowadays to have a support group like the Trojan family that watches after you and cares after you all the time. So we've tried to really focus on that, whether it's our players coming back to support us, our students that came out, bringing the families, the parents of the players back out, our family dinner Tuesday night as a total team. Even from this morning when we brought back developmental practices with some of the young players that need extra reps to get better. We don't want one player on our team to walk away from this season, one, not having a great experience, but two, not developing as a player. And between the Trojan family and our players, we're going to do great things. I truly believe that, and I look forward to it.
Let's talk about this game a little bit, and it was a wild game. I mean, it almost played out like a basketball game where you saw teams making runs at each other. Take it first from the defensive side. You have a defense that gave up 21 in the first, then only 3 in the second and third quarters, and seemed to really have the game under control. And then the fourth quarter gives up 17. So what's the difference between those two defenses?
Yeah, I tell you, it was a roller coaster ride a little bit. To start off, you go the first 2 drives and have 2 drives of scoring opportunities, and then all of a sudden, we're helping the defense scoring, and then all of a sudden they get a couple touchdowns, a block kick. We stutter a little bit offensively, and the defense, I thought, really second quarter, third quarter really picked it up to where they were helping us until we got it going again and then hit some big plays. As a total team, I just think we need a better level of consistency through 4 quarters. Eliminate penalties, eliminate the mistakes in the special teams game, play a very consistent game defensively. I know we can. I believe we can. We're going to work our butts off this week to get that done.
Take us through your time distribution. It's not like you don't have a lot on your plate. A lot has come on your plate. Well, you had a lot on your plate before, but now, of course, with the head coaching duties, you have to call the plays offensively, of course. That's, a big, obviously a huge role. But now you also have to account for the defensive side as well. Does that balance, are you balancing it out, or how does that balance change week by week maybe? How are you distributing your time?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through each phase. I think that's what you have to do as a head coach, is know what's going on in each phase and help out where needed. So I've got a great offensive staff. When you talk about Marcus Tuiasosopo, T. Martin, Johnny Nansen, and Bob Conley, they're really helping me put a game plan together, scripting for practices, taking that off me, really developing, I thought, a great game plan that we all put together, and it allowed me to go focus on a little bit of defense, a little bit of special teams, and as I'm in game, being able to look and talk to Justin, talk to Johnny about special teams while they're saying, hey, Coach, this may be the next couple things that we need to do on the next drive. It was a great help. I commend them on them. We had 590 yards worth of offense because of that offensive staff. They did a great job that week.
You mentioned special teams. Obviously the punt block is a big play in the game. Take us through what happened as opposed to what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, it was a breakdown in our shield. Two things really could have improved. One, the engagement of the front line on the initial defender at the line of scrimmage. We didn't engage long enough. You're supposed to bang, shutter them just for a second, and give that shield just a little bit of help. And then 2, the shield is always to protect from inside out. We jumped at a defender outside, let a guy in the middle of the shield, and he ended up blocking it. Just a technique flaw that we had on that. Something that we got to get corrected, because Utah is going to come back and do it, come be aggressive on that also.
Staying with that game, another thing that you had to balance out is the Dory's reps. And I know this is a story every single week on how you're going to handle it or how you're going to address it. Talk to us about what was supposed to happen. I know there were some injuries during the game that sort of affected that. And what's your take on how much can you get out of him offensively or defensively?
Yeah, he's a guy that would go 100 reps. And so we tried to limit a little bit further back. I think he actually had like 19 less reps than the reps that he had at Washington, which we felt was important to him, because I thought he got a little bit tired at the end of the Washington game. And you can see what he can do when he's fresh. He's unbelievable. He's one of the most dynamic players in college football. He's truly special. So it's a fine line for us to each player could probably play anywhere from 6 to 80 plays, 80 plays being the max, and he was right at that max level the other night trying to fight through Notre Dame. But it's a Notre Dame game. He didn't want to come out, and I didn't blame him.
They say he ran on the touchdown at top speed. He was at 23 miles per hour,
yes.
Coach.
Yes.
How fast do you think you could get to an MPHs?
Well, one, it's faster than me. I know that. But it was neat. I watched the TV copy, and when he hit the 50-yard line and his top-end speed's 23 miles an hour, you just know nobody's catching him.
Another guy that it was amazing they did catch him, but they had an angle on him was Ronald Jones II, a guy that I heard you talk a little bit last night. Maybe some more opportunities for him going forward because he is that same sort of dynamite, one carry and he could take it the distance every time.
Yeah, you literally hold his breath. I mean, the future's so bright here with these young kids that are playing. A Ronald Jones, a Deontay Burnett stepping up the other night. Some young linebackers playing, being dynamic. It's really bright around here. This experience that these kids are getting is going to be great. And Ronald's just one of those guys. We're really challenging him to be a complete complete player, both in pass protection, catching the ball out of the backfield, not just being a great runner. Kind of reminds you where Justin was. Justin Davis as a freshman, a great runner that's learned how to be a pass protector and a receiver out of the backfield. And when he does that, he's going to play even more and more.
All right, well, there is a big game this weekend, as I mentioned. Utah coming to the Coliseum at 4:30 on Saturday. So we'll break down the Utes when we come back on Trojans Live with Clay Helton.
The action.
Jordan Moore, John Jackson, and the interim head coach, Clay Helton, sitting down here at the lab, ready to talk about USC and Utah. Coach, how has Utah done it? I mean, this is a team that we know has been solid over the last few years, but sure enough, we're halfway through the season, and they're undefeated and right there near the top of any team in the nation.
I tell you what, they twofold. One, offensively, I think that they're doing a great job of running the ball consistently, not putting their quarterback in a lot of pressure situations. And Travis Wilson's doing a terrific job protecting the ball. He's only got 4 interceptions. He's making good decisions. He's creating things with his legs down the field when getting in trouble. They're doing a nice job offensively, just basically not messing it up and really playing as a team unit. Defensively, gosh almighty, they're doing a great job. You're only looking at a team that's giving up 19 points a game, less than 4 yards a carry. They load the box to stop the run and really put a lot of pressure on the outside, and their DBs are holding up. Tremendously well-coached team, Kyle Whittingham team. It's typical. He's done it for years. He's got a blueprint and does it very well.
Yeah, outside of the last minutes of last year's game, we had that game under control and did a pretty good job against Travis Wilson. What's the key to making sure he does not get in rhythm, that we've experienced over the last couple of years even?
Yeah, it goes back to any quarterback that we play. You got to get a quarterback's a little bit more frail when you get him off his spot. When you get a quarterback off his spot, so I think our pass rush has to. We got 4 sacks last game. I think we can do even better about getting to the quarterback, and we're going to work excessively hard. I think that's the key when we get in passing situations to make that quarterback have to move, not feel comfortable, not be able to sit back there. And that's something we're going to work on tremendously hard this week.
Yeah, and obviously your run defense will again be under the microscope of similar team to Notre Dame in that sense. Devontae Booker, boy, he brings a load. I don't know how many personnel changes you can make halfway through a season. So what can you do to make sure that unit fills any gaps that were out there last week?
Yeah, I think Justin's working exceptionally hard with our defensive staff right now to put a game plan together that takes advantage of what they do offensively in the run game, whether it's loading the box pressures and things like that to help out there. The kids are playing excessively hard, the effort-wise. When I look at the things that they're doing, chasing to the ball, and Adoree Jackson knocking that ball out right at the goal line. Those are tremendous effort plays. What we have to do a great job is the assignment part. We had about 4 missed assignments in that game that really cost us explosion plays, and a couple missed tackles late, especially in the second half, that we could have probably we would have gotten off the field if they were made and to get the ball back. So that's the biggest area, I think, eliminating the missed assignments and really tackling consistently.
Where are you at in terms of the rotations? I know that when Stark was here, There was a lot of rotations. I mean, as many as even 10 defensive linemen played. It didn't look like the rotations were a little bit tighter against Notre Dame. Where are you at, and where do you stand in terms of that?
The rep count on especially on the defensive line, was a lot less. And when you look at Delvon and Antoine and Greg Townsend, they were in the 50 snap range, and we had a little over 60 snaps in that game. So they really were their staple, and then we had some younger kids come in to spell them when needed. So there's been a little bit more consistency of those older guys, having to step up and make those plays for us, and that will continue.
You're playing a lot of youth, and we're going to talk to some of it tonight with Port Augustine and Osa Messina on that defensive side. Can you believe how much you're getting from all these true freshmen? I mean, you adding Cam Smith and Iman Marshall. I thought Marvell Tell played as good a game as he's played this season. I mean, you're really relying on a lot of true freshmen on defense in particular.
Yeah, they're extremely talented and deserve the right to play. And when you look at a Marvell Tell, the plays that he made in that game, especially I think of the third down, knocking the ball down in the end zone, that was a huge play for us on that drive. And then I can't say enough about Cam Smith. The position, basically leading our team in tackles right now as a true freshman. He's playing very high level of football. You put that with some of the older kids like Asua Cravens, I think he's playing his best football not only of the year but his career here at USC right now. So that combination, I hope, of that gelling together, I really hope carries on through the second half of the season. I know it will. That defense will carry us to a championship. They have to. That's what wins championships, is defense.
Yeah, talk about the offensive line a little bit as well, because it seemed like Cody was able to maneuver and sort of buy time for himself, but they also have been pretty good. Now, Toa, I know, has made the move to center, and how's that sort of camaraderie working amongst them, and how comfortable are you with that group now?
Well, it was really neat. They probably had one of their better games of the season during this. When we look up and you look at the tape and you look at what they did, averaging 5 yards a carry, which I thought one of the better defenses that we had played, and limiting the pressure on Cody. I thought Cody did a great job in the pocket, stepping up in the pocket and really concentrating on moving his feet, not trying to flush outside, but actually stepping up through passing lanes to find guys. So they're really coming together as an offensive line. I know it will continue. Bob's working with them on a daily basis, and it's really gelling. Anytime you lose your center, especially a Max Turk, it is extremely hard to replace. But thank goodness, the investment that we made in Toa. He's just done a terrific job for 2 games to step in a very hard situation.
How'd you assess Cody's performance? I mean, I know those 2 interceptions loom large at the end of the game, although I'm not entirely sure that those weren't just great plays by that corner, number 6, really played a heck of a quarter.
Yeah, you look up and we got a lot of yards. We, at the end of the day, Cody will say, it's my job to go win the game, and he'll always put that on himself. He's that type of guy. You look up, he's got 365 yards passing. He was very effective. And when you look at interceptions, I think you have to look at exactly what happened. And he did not force the ball on either one of the 2. It was a one-on-one situation. Actually checked to a stutter on the one to try to get a deep ball shot to Juju, and the corner made a good play. The second one, he makes the exact correct read. It's cover 2. He's going to hit the dig across the middle of the field, and it just ricochets off the hands, and there's a defender behind. Those are things that if you don't watch the game and you look at the stat sheet, you go, wow, he threw 2 interceptions. But when you look at each play individually, you go, okay, I understand.
Is it just sort of part of the job, because Cody takes a lot of heat, right, when those things happen, and, people look at the numbers and not necessarily how the game was played or how he played within that game. Is it sort of unfair to, for him, or is it just sort of part of being the quarterback?
It's part of being the quarterback. We understand that. Whether you're the head coach, the quarterback, people want to win. And that's your job. That's when you're a quarterback, it comes with the territory. Right. And you know that especially in this great media market this place we get to live in, that when you're the quarterback at USC, people want you to win and they expect you to win, and we know that going in.
Coach, I know you believe in this team and in the Trojans. You made that abundantly clear after the game. How is their belief in themselves in the temperature that you've taken in the locker room?
I think tremendous. I saw it this morning. We understand we understand how good a team that we can be. I truly get that sense. You don't do what you did in that game if there's not a belief. Put down 24-10 in that situation and take a 31-24 lead going into the fourth quarter. You got to have some belief as a team that you can get the job done, not only within yourself but within your brothers around you. Right. So that will continue. This team knows that we got 6 games to prove ourselves. All of them conference games with a chance to win the Pac-12 South. The number 3 team in the country coming into the Coliseum. Are you kidding me? It doesn't get any more exciting
right,
than that.
Right. And now that you have this experience, Clay, what's the hardest part of being the USC head coach? What's the hardest part of your day?
Really just wanting to be successful for our players and our Trojan family. Just wanting it so much for them.
Right.
At the end of the day, these kids, you look at them and you look at what the 5th-year senior has been through while he's been here through sanctions and 4 head coaches and a quarterback coach, being a head coach now. These kids have worked excessively hard. I want them to have a great experience over the next 6 games and really walk away here saying, gosh dang, we're proud of what we accomplished. Right. That's the biggest thing on my mind.
What's for family dinner tomorrow night?
Family dinner is Wingstop, so come on by.
Okay.
I think we got about 6,000 wings coming tomorrow to feed these boys. So y'all make sure y'all stop by.
Trojans will be well fueled, I have no doubt. That's Clay Helton. And Trojan fans, you want a chance to win tickets to the UCLA game on November 28th and attempt to share $1 million during. You can attempt to throw $1 million throw. JJ, you think you can make it? Our friends at Eckridge and Ralph's are giving you the chance, not you.
Okay.
To register, go to EckridgeFootballChallenge.com or text Eckridge, ECKRICH, to 82257, and you could take center stage at the biggest game. The contest ends on November 11, so register today for your chance to win. No purchase necessary. See official rules for details. We talked to Clay Helton. Now we'll talk to some of his players coming back. It's the man who's the center of everything, Toa Lobendon, coming up next on Trojans Live.